It's a bird! It's a plane! No, wait, it's not flying at all. Or was it? I dare you to say that to my face. If you thought that escalated quickly, you don't know anything about the wild world of paleontology. Today, we're uncovering one of paleontology's hottest debates. Could Quetzalcoatlus, the biggest winged giant in the history of our planet, actually fly? Hi, I'm Danielle Dufault, and you're watching Animalogic. If you know anything about paleontology, you'll know it's basically a blood sport. While you might be expecting mild-mannered researchers quietly examining dusty fossils, paleontologists are actually the scrappiest scientists of them all. And they have a history of starting epic, decades-long rivalries over long-dead creatures. Like the infamous Bone Wars of the late 1800s, during which Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope engaged in a bitter arms race to describe the greatest number of fossils. While it left them both penniless and disgraced, their contributions to paleontology were significant. If paleontologists have to protect themselves in the field, pretty sure that we have to protect ourselves online. That's why I used CyberGhost VPN. Even if you're using incognito mode on your browser, your internet provider, school, workplace, and even pages that you visit can track what you do online. A VPN is always necessary. Simply select one of their over 100 locations before you browse to encrypt and reroute all of your traffic through their secure servers. This way, no one will even know about your online activity. CyberGhost VPN is one of the top services in the world. It has over 38 million users, and it's rated excellent on Trustpilot. Besides keeping you safe, it also lets you access websites and media in other countries, which is super helpful for me when I'm traveling, because it unlocks games and content from over 40 streaming platforms, like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney+. You can even change your location to get better deals online. And the best part is that it works in all major laptops, phones, tablets, smart TVs, and consoles. And you can use your subscription in up to 7 devices, or share it with your friends and family. Right now, they're offering subscriptions a little over $2 a month, and you get 4 months for free. That's 84% off their regular price. And you also get a 45-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. So click on the link in the description and start browsing safely with CyberGhost VPN. And now back to the possibly flying giant that has kept us wondering for years. So asking a question like, could Quetzalcoatlus really fly, is also asking for trouble. You're opening a paleontological can of worms, and maybe even a can of whoop-ass. But let's start from the beginning. What is a Quetzalcoatlus, and why is it so controversial? The debate of Quetzalcoatlus's ability to fly begins, of course, with its discovery back in the mid-1970s by paleontologist Douglas A. Lawson. His article, Pterosaur from the Latest Cretaceous of West Texas, Discovery of the Largest Flying Creature, published in the American Association for the Advancement of Science, has his thoughts on that question right there in the title, Flying Creature. At the time of publication, and after 3 years of study, there was clearly no doubt in Lawson's mind that this giant pterosaur was capable of flight. Lawson, who was just a 22-year-old graduate student at the University of Texas at the time, has since become synonymous with Quetzalcoatlus, figuratively and quite literally. Despite referring to his initial discovery as just a large pterosaur in that initial publication, it wasn't long before he named the larger species Quetzalcoatlus northropi, and another, smaller species, Quetzalcoatlus lawsoni, was named after him. The name of the genus was a reference to Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent in Aztec mythology. The nod to the Aztecs was due to the location of the fossils. Lawson made his discoveries in Big Bend National Park, West Texas, which is known as one of the world's true jewels of paleontology. With a geology spanning about 500 million years, it's not just famous for producing the first Quetzalcoatlus fossils, it's also one of the few sites in the world that records the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary. This is the thin layer of rock that recorded the moment in time 66 million years ago when a 10 to 15 kilometer wide asteroid smacked into the Earth and killed most of the large creatures on Earth. The first Quetzalcoatlus was found 1.5 meters below the boundary, meaning it lived between 66 and 68 million years ago. Not only is it the largest pterosaur we've ever found, it was also one of the last to exist before that fateful end of the Age of Reptiles. The trouble with Lawson's discovery was that there were only a handful of specimens found from 3 individuals. Some wing, neck, hind limb, and jawbones were all that Lawson had to go on. The location of the fossils seemed to indicate a carrion-eating creature due to their cervical structures and since they were found close to sauropod fossils. But the discovery of these Quetzalcoatlus fossils left more open questions than answers, some that even persist to this day. Pterosaurs were the first vertebrates to evolve powered flight, which means they could produce lift and stay airborne. In other words, they weren't just gliders, they were full-blown flappers. Important side note, despite their similarities, birds did not evolve from pterosaurs. Birds evolved from dinosaurs, which share a common ancestor with pterosaurs, but were not closely related. These similarities are an example of convergent evolution, which means that 2 unrelated species developed similar characteristics. Convergent evolution happens when different species solve a common problem in their environment in a similar way. In other words, it makes evolutionary sense for pterosaurs and much later, birds to take to the skies. Another example of this is that most pterosaurs were covered in fine hairs called pycnofibers, some of which resembled primitive feathers. Were pterosaurs feathered or just hairy? That's a burning hot paleontological debate for another episode. So far, we've found over 200 species of pterosaur, ranging from the giant Quetzalcoatlus all the way down to the size of a sparrow. Despite finding new species all the time, there are still huge gaps in the pterosaur fossil record. So far, we know that pterosaurs started evolving around 215 million years ago, starting out small and getting bigger and weirder over time. This, of course, culminated with Quetzalcoatlus, whose outrageous size is at the very core of the debate on its ability to fly. What the fossils Lawson found in 1975 told us was that Quetzalcoatlus had a massive wingspan of over 10 meters. That is roughly the length of a school bus, or 53 bananas. But wait, we only have the bones of one wing of the largest example of Quetzalcoatlus. If we don't have a complete skeleton, how do they even know how big they really were? This is when other, smaller, but more complete Quetzalcoatlus individuals from the other described species came into play. Paleontologists use the measurements of more complete fossils to extrapolate just how big the largest Quetzalcoatlus really was. This, however, seems to be open to interpretation. That's why there have been over 50 estimations of the span of its wings in as many years. These range anywhere from 5 to 20 meters. Even at a whopping final estimate of 10 meters, it kind of feels like Lawson undersold its size when he called it a large pterosaur. When standing on the ground, a Quetzalcoatlus would have been about the height of an adult giraffe. Despite their huge size, like today's birds, Quetzalcoatlus had hollow bones that would have meant it weighed just between 100 to 200 kilograms, or about the same as a lion. For context, the heaviest living flying bird is the Cory bustard, and it weighs 1/10 of what Quetzalcoatlus could have weighed. And even at just 20 kilograms, it looks like it's about to collapse from exhaustion every time it takes flight. Okay, but could it fly? Let's take a deep dive into the paleontological beef that has been raging for the last half-century. So we have Lawson's initial publication in 1975 claiming that they were flying creatures, but soon after, an engineer called Crawford Greenwalt challenged that idea. Greenwalt used modern birds to compare the ratio of their upper arm bones to the relative size of their wings to suggest that Quetzalcoatlus could not have flown. There were simply no modern analogs, no giant flying bird that we can use as a model. And the idea that a 200-kilogram animal could have powered flight seemed pretty far-fetched. Greenwalt did admit in his paper that the structure of this giant pterosaur must have been very different from modern birds. But this challenge would set the stage for further questioning of whether Quetzalcoatlus could fly. Two other papers added fuel to the fire and weight to the idea that this was a non-flying animal. The first concluded that the ability to fly is restricted by the size and physiology of the creature doing the flying. Their models revealed that the limit was 40 kilograms and a wingspan of 5 meters, and Quetzalcoatlus blows those limits out of the sky. The other one reached a similar conclusion. They estimated that Quetzalcoatlus weighed over 500 kilograms and was clearly way too heavy to fly. The assumption was that the ancestors of Quetzalcoatlus could fly, but by the time this giant appeared, it had lost its ability to fly. Kinda like how the ancestors of ostriches could fly, but ostriches can't. Paleontologists Mark Whitten and Michael Habib got a little bit cheesed over these claims, so they went back to the very scarce fossil material to settle the debate once and for all. Their diss track was titled, "On the Size and Flight Diversity of Giant Pterosaurs, the Use of Birds as Pterosaur Analogs, and Comments on Pterosaur Flightlessness," and basically said that it's silly to use modern birds as a model to figure out if unrelated pterosaurs could fly. On re-examining the fossils, Whitten and Habib discovered that the upper arm bones of pterosaurs like Quetzalcoatlus were twice as strong as they expected. They concluded that Quetzalcoatlus probably took off from all fours, using its strong arms to assist in pushing off the ground. The idea was that they were so good at push-ups that they could get quite a bit of hang time, and from there, they could glide. I gotta do more push-ups. But it wouldn't be beef-riddled paleontology if that was the end of the story. Around this time, new models were suggesting Quetzalcoatlus might have been lighter, making its self-powered flight more likely. The wings were also discovered to be more like reinforced sails than like bird wings. That would have given them more structural strength and made them more likely to support their heavy weight. So, once they were airborne, they could glide like a sailplane. Since then, the consensus has landed on Quetzalcoatlus being able to fly, but there are still some questions yet to be answered. Like, why did it have such long legs if it could fly? Was it possible that young Quetzalcoatlus could fly, but as they got older, they lost that ability? Why did it live inland if it needed strong air currents to glide? What did it eat anyways? And if it was a predator, how did it catch its prey? And if it flew, how fast could it fly? And how would it even land safely? These are just some of the fun questions we're trying to answer. And the more fossils we find, the clearer the picture we'll have on the skyworthiness of these giants. Pterosaurs were at the height of their powers when their time on Earth was cut so rudely short by an errant asteroid. But can you imagine what it would be like if these giants were still soaring through the skies? Sully Sullenberger would be in so much trouble. So what should we talk about next? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for new videos every single week. And if you want to learn more about another mysterious giant, check out our episode about Spinosaurus. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Don't forget to click on the description link to get the special discount CyberGhost VPN is granting to our channel users. This application will protect your data while you browse and give you full access to all blocked content on the internet for $2.03 a month only. So click on the link in the description and start browsing safely with CyberGhost VPN.